So I'm going to show you this double needle bind off method I learned from a video. I believe it's called Knitting Essentials. I can't believe it. I'm sorry, remember if it was one or two, but I'm going to show you this double needle bind off method that I'm going to use for this sweater vest that I've shown you. So take a look. So with this, I've slid all my remaining stitches onto double pointed needles. Have some straight yarn here, but I am going to reconnect to do this bind off method. So what I'm going to do is insert into the first stitch on the first needle, the first stitch on the second needle, grab my yarn back here and pull it through as if I'm knitting, just like I would on one needle, but there's two. So I slide those off the stitches because this is because I have some stray strands here. My stitches loosened up just a bit, so I'm just going to tighten them back up. This is my working yarn here, so I'm just going to continue, but I'm going to bind off in the process. So going into that first, now what is now the first stitch on the needle and first stitch on the second needle, grab my yarn, pull it through. I'm going to slide those stitches off, and what I'm going to do is take a look. I'm going to grab that first stitch with one of my needles and bind it off just like I would with one needle, but gotta remember that you have two because it makes it just a tad bit more difficult. So I'm going into that first stitch again, that first stitch on the second needle, grab my yarn, pull it through, slide those stitches off. I'm going to grab that yarn and I'm binding off as I go. So I have 3 bound off so far, I do believe. So into that first stitch, that first stitch, grab my yarn, pull it through, and then slide those stitches off. Gotta remember to bind off as you go. So with the second needle, because it's closer, you can use whichever one you like. I'm going to grab the stitch, the first stitch on this needle, and pull it over. So into the first stitch on the first needle, into the first stitch on the second needle, grab my yarn, pull it through, and slide off those stitches. Don't forget to bind off as you go. So that's just a sample. I am going to finish that, not necessarily on video, but I'm going to show you what my seam looks like on the other sleeve because I've already completed that. So this is the inside where I bound off, did the double needle bind off, and this is actually the outside. You can barely tell the stitch is even there. So this is what the other side is going to look like once I finish it. Just wanted to give you an example, show you what it looks like, and this is the finished product.